Attorney Michael Wynnne. He is a former U.S. attorney and a federal prosecutor. According to my researchers, he's very much in favor of the U.S. attack on Iran. Counselor, thanks so much for joining us. We so appreciate your time. We know you're a busy guy. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. And I should correct, I was Assistant United States Attorney, but I handled a lot of political and international cases from the Concorde crash on.
I appreciate a guy who wants to be honest and correct about dates and figures and names, and because from a journalistic standpoint, I think that's very important. Hey, let's start with this latest poll I'm going to show you. This is an Ipsos poll, Reuters Ipsos poll. It shows that the American people, only 27% of them are for this attack on Iran. I think we can put it up and take a look at it. There it is. So it's 43% disapprove, 29% are like, huh? What happened? I'm not sure. And only 27% they approve. How are these folks who generally disapprove wrong?
Look, I'm going to reframe the question. The president, I do trust him. I trust his intelligence. He's thinking long term. I think it's rough to anthropomorphize countries and talk about Iran or China as single entities. I spent some time in Iran several years ago, getting to know the people and the long-term Persian culture. I just don't, those who disapprove, I think time will tell, and that in the long run, this will be seen as an incredibly wise decision. Regime change, that's tough. Telling another culture to change their entire perspective, that's wrong too. But I think in the long run, we'll look at this, securing the Straits of Hormuz and eliminating entirely Iran's potential to continue to destabilize, threaten its neighbors. That's a good thing. And the president, if there's anybody in recent years who's been attuned to the polls, sensitive to any disapproval, the fact that so many people disapprove of his actions is quite telling, and also suggests to me that he's got more information than we do.
Here's my problem. But here's my problem. We've gotten like 5 different stories now as to why we're doing this, right? There's the nuclear issue. There is the ballistic missile issue. There is the fact that we have to change their government because their government are bad people. The people are good. The government's bad, and it's up to us to go in there to change that government and put somebody in there who we like or is more favorable to us. Then there's the question of whether or not we need to do this because they're a threat, for example, to Israel. In fact, here's Bibi Netanyahu making his case for why I, as an American, have to send my son or daughter into that country at some point, and why my money needs to be used to dethrottle or take out this government. Here, let's listen to Bibi.
The reason that we had to act now is because they were, after we hit their nuclear sites and their ballistic missiles program, you'd think they learned a lesson, but they didn't, because they're unreformable. They're totally fanatic about this, about the goal of destroying America. So they started building new sites, new places, underground bunkers that would make their ballistic missile program and their atomic bomb programs immune within months. If no action was taken now, no action could be taken in the future. And then they could target America, they could blackmail America, they could threaten us and threaten everyone in between. So action had to be taken, and you needed a resolute president like Donald J. Trump to take that action.
I got to ask you, as an American to American, isn't this the same bullcrap we were told about Iraq and about Syria and about Vietnam? It's always those people are bad and they're coming for you, and then we go to a war, and in the end, it turns out not necessarily to be the case.
That's what I started to say. We cannot take an entire country and say these people are bad. That's just simply wrong. I've been over there. These people are good, strong people. They have a different cultural tradition. The regime is. I'm absolutely opposed to troops on the ground like we saw in Iraq, Afghanistan. You know, we got so bogged down for so long. I'm against that, absolutely against it. But these targeted strikes to get rid of the capability of this country, and it's a larger country than any of those, 93 million people with a 5,000-year-old tradition spread over a lot of terrain. We cannot put troops on the ground. We will lose. The best we can do, and that we have to do, looks like we're doing, is to get rid of the capability to produce nuclear weapons.
But we're doing, but hold on. We're doing something else. I got to bring this up because, man, I just got some pictures, Counselor, that came in that kind of break my heart, and they'll probably break your heart too. This is a funeral for like some 130 little girls. This is a girls' school. These are young girls. This is terrible. So we kill their supreme leader, which you may not like him. I don't, necessarily, believe in him, but he's their religious leader. I'm Catholic. I believe in my Pope. I wouldn't like if somebody took him out. And then we kill these children. My fear with this is, and I don't know if you agree with me or not, is the way this is being executed. We're throwing gasoline on a fire, man. We're going to an ant. I'm from Florida, and we got those big red ant piles, and I always used to make sure I would cover them before my kids went out and played. Because man, once you get into one of those, you can't stop it. It's Katie by the door. This is what I think these pictures might possibly cause, which makes me think this is not going to be a couple of weeks. This thing's going to be serious, and it's going to be protracted, and it could go on for a long time. And a lot of countries are going to be involved.
What happened there with the school is absolutely inexcusable. If we're going to do this, we got to do it right. Whoever made that miss has to be punished for that strategic error. That's inexcusable. And I'm against, as I said, troops on the ground. We have enough intelligence. We have Israeli intelligence. We should know where everything is. Let's get rid of that, not put troops on the ground, not risk lives. And if we're going to send a guided missile, Lord knows, we got the technology. If we think we're going to be able to put a man on Mars sometime, we should be able to get this right and not hit schools. That's inexcusable.
I also worry, though, about, we tend to thump our chests and think we've got the best military in the world. We've got the most incredible ballistic missiles. Our ballistic missiles and our satellite defenses and our anti-ballistic defenses are going to be better than theirs. And now, as I'm watching this thing play out, I'm watching the Iranians almost hit all their targets, and I'm wondering what the hell's going on? What happened to our Patriot systems? What happened to our anti-ballistic missile systems? Are they failing? Are they maybe not as good as we thought they were? And what does this portend for this thing going forward?
Look, I'm all for a strict and careful scrutiny of our ballistic systems. Lord knows we're paying enough in taxes for them. They got to be right. We got to have, strict and strong condemnation of any of these missiles. I share your concern that our military is overextended. The president campaigned on that theme to stay out of foreign wars. The fact that he's changed his mind, suggests to me, especially in his second term with nothing to lose, that he legitimately has some information, and Marco Rubio does, and the generals do, that we're not privy to. I mean, we could find ulterior motives for the Iraq War. I was against that. I was against the full invasion in 2003. I was stunned that we did it, stunned that we thought we'd establish a presence in the Middle East. That's, egotistical, hegemony, as you mentioned. This is something different. We got to get rid preemptively of this problem and then get out of there. We're not going to change. We're not going to convince them to go with China, go Russia. They're going to go where they're going to go, and they're going to determine who they're going to go, where they're going to go. We just can't have them go in a direction where they pose an existential threat to our primary ally, in the region. Can't do it.
Speaking of Rubio, a guy that I grew up in South Florida with, by the way, fellow Cuban American. He just spoke on this, and I was kind of confused as to what he's trying to say. I think he's kind of saying two things here. One, that the only reason we went in was because we were forced to, because we felt like Israel was going to hit them, so we had to get in with Israel and hit them. And two, that somehow the Iranians were going to hit us before we hit them. You see if you can figure this out. Here's Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
Why now? Well, there's two reasons why now. The first is it was abundantly clear that if Iran came under attack by anyone, the United States or Israel or anyone, they were going to respond against the United States. We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed.
See, call me crazy, but last time I checked, we're the United States of America, and this is Israel. So you pick up the phone and you call Israel and you say, no, you're not going to hit them. And if you want to do it on your own, fine. But we're not going to back your asses every time you want to get us into a fight, because it's our military, our money, our soldiers. Makes me a little angry to hear my Secretary of State say, well, Israel wanted to go, so we had to go. Bull crap.
Yeah, that's incredibly sloppy, and I sure hope that's not the case. You know, perhaps it's unfortunate. I had not seen that clip, but it doesn't change my position that the two of them collectively going in together was most likely to achieve the correct solution. I think he spoke sloppily. I want to hope what he meant was that Israel was going to go in. We were concerned that they were going to create an untenable situation. They were much less likely to be successful. And that we agreed at that point collectively that it was in the interest of both nations to proceed. I think he spoke very sloppily. I sure hope that those words literally taken are incorrect. Yeah, I can only hope that.
You know, I talk to a lot of my friends. You know, I'm friends with Tucker and I'm friends with other people, both on the left and on the right, some who are for, some who are against. But I do start to get this sense that there's a weariness in America, a weariness amongst people like myself who start thinking, you know, how much of this can we continue to do? I mean, my son has a hard time buying a house. My daughter has a hard time paying rent. I mean, we've got some crap we got to deal with in the United States right now. Inflation is high. Cost of housing is through the roof. I mean, we don't have a lot of the benefits that we even see in some of these countries that we're giving hundreds of billions of dollars to. And America just starting to say, enough with taking care of others. Let's take care of ourselves. And what I fear with this situation in Iran is that Americans are looking at this and wondering the same thing. Look at this thing. 2 billion, and look at this thing. This is a ticker that somebody has put up today that's being run all over the United States of Americans watching their tax dollars go to this damn thing. And it's hard to conceive of how many Americans, not all of us, I mean, I'm doing fine, and I think you are too, but there's a lot of people who are not doing so well. And they look at this and it makes them angry. And they should be angry, I think.
Look, I'm angry too. I just wrote a check for my 25 taxes. And, you know, I am fortunate and blessed, but I'll tell you, I just did it the other day.
Yeah.
And I didn't, you know, wow, what I could do to fund my daughter's education with that money. I'll tell you what, I am, you know, blessed, not as much as many, but it hurts. And we're overextended. It cannot go on indefinitely. The country is weary. We renamed our Department of Defense the Department of War. You know, that's telling enough. I think the country is tired of foreign wars, except for very specific, narrow purposes. Taking out Iran's nuclear ability was one of them.
Yeah.
I think we stop there. Done. Over. And leave it to the people. No. You know, in Iran, my sense going over there was there was a lot of opposition to the regime. Popular uprising is really tough to coordinate. Really tough. I don't think there's an identified leader. But that's now up to them. as the president said. No troops on the ground. This country needs to worry about its own infrastructure, its own education, bring this country into the 21st century, creating the conditions for our kids and our grandchildren to enjoy our blessings too. Our agriculture, our manufacturing, I think infrastructure. You go to other countries, you see the high-speed rails and the other transportation networks, reconstructing our cities, dealing with the homelessness. Those are where we need to spend our money and our time, not foreign wars.
So, I mean, I imagine you probably voted for Donald Trump. So did I, by the way. I mean, if nothing else, given the alternative, it was very difficult to vote for anybody else. But I will say this. What he campaigned on is not the way he's executing the government. I didn't vote for him for this, for example. I see things that are different than the guy that I saw on the campaign trail. I'm a little frustrated by it, and I think a lot of other Americans are as well. What's your sense of that?
No, I am too. And, you know, again, I agree with this particular action, and I agree with taking on, President Maduro. That's the only path forward for Venezuela. Specific targeted actions, but the way he's governing in some respects, and you're right, the alternative was completely unacceptable. We were faced with a real tough choice there. And it's unfortunately that good, solid people are dissuaded from entering the political arena because of the negative politics we have going forward. I don't know who in their right mind would want to run, say, for Congress or U.S. Senate now. Just watch them what the ads are today. I mean, nobody wants to put their family through that. So here we are. Now, with Mr. Trump, what most disappointed me so far was the wholesale slashing of senior leadership, say in the Department of Justice, which I'm most familiar with, and other organizations, because most of those senior people are the ones with the institutional knowledge, which is significant regardless of your political persuasion. You got to have the folks who know the law, have the experience on both sides, really don't have a dog in the fight. And decimating that part of our federal infrastructure, I've seen firsthand, has been a huge problem. And there are other details. There was no other choice, as I say, in the general election. Mr. Trump, I think, has his intention in the right place. Let's not focus on some of these social issues, fringe issues, although they may be important to some people. Of course, transgenderism, DEI, and those things come up. That can't be our national policy. It has to be make America first. So his attitude is right. Some of the actual decisions I have big problems with.
I agree, and I think there's an issue there. I happen to have issues with his foreign policy as well. We can differ on that. By the way, I'm told now that we're joined by Professor Mustafa Hoshashem. Professor Mustafa, always great to see you. Professor Mustafa is joining us from Tehran, which is why I guess he's late coming to the conversation. I don't know how much of our conversation you've heard so much, Professor, but Counselor Wynne essentially is in favor of the action in Iran, though he's not necessarily in favor of the way that it's being executed thus far, and he's not in favor of it in its totality. He does believe, though, that we need to bring Iran under control in some way. Can you give him your counter argument for why you believe this was not a good decision by any stretch of the imagination, as I'm sure you believe?
Hello, Rick, and thanks for having me. Well, no, I didn't hear much of the argument, actually. What I could say is that Iran has not been threatening anyone. It was not threatening Israel. We were in the midst of the talks, and they attacked again, and this is the second time that it's happening. Iran has never opened war against any other country in the region for the past 300 years, while Israelis and Americans have always been at war for the past century.
We got to trust our president and his advisors at this point. He's not a fool. He's not. This is, if you're ever going to be a fool, this is not the time to do it. Second, Article 51 of the UN Charter does authorize such actions in legitimate self-defense. So,
but how can this be? But how can this be? But how can this be self-defense?
Iran has had proxies in the Middle East and elsewhere for years and years and years, fighting its own fights for it. Hamas, Hezbollah, the rest of them. All right, so it may not have gone. And what exactly was the Iran-Iraq war about back in the mid-1980s? What was that about? So don't give me this that Iran has been peaceful and not started any wars. That's simply incorrect.
Yeah, but the idea that this is self-defense on the part of the United States, and I guess the question that has to be asked, and that a lot of people have asked, and I'm not sure we've got a direct answer for this, is how is Iran a threat to America, to a guy living in Kansas or in my hometown or in Texas where you are right now? How is Iran a threat to the United States? I understand it may be a threat to Israel, but go on.
Yeah, well, unquestionably, Israel's and the United States interests are aligned in the Middle East and the Persian Gulf. I mean, it's hard, very hard to get around that fact. Economically and culturally, it is. Like it or not, you know, the United States is responsible for, at least for now, serving as the world's policeman, if you will. Yeah. How can they cut off the Straits of Hormuz? Just cut them off. That will severely endanger the world economy, and they are in a position to do it. And they're in a position to threaten, you know, the Saudi oil fields right across the Persian Gulf. They're in a great position to do it, as well as sponsoring individual acts of terrorism in Paris, in Jerusalem, all over. They're in a position to do it. And let me also say that the words "death to America," they mean something. Why are you saying? We don't say "death to Iran." We didn't say "death to Vietnam." Death to America over and over and over again. Look, you got to take that seriously.
I guess we got audio back with Professor Mustafa. I see you smiling, which means you can hear us. Professor Mustafa, I think you want to counter that. Please go ahead.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Whatever I heard since I got back is ridiculous. My colleague says Iraq. What was Iran-Iraq war? The Iraqis attacked Iran. That's a taken for granted fact. Everyone knows that. That was Saddam Hussein, who also attacked Kuwait. That's the reason why it happened. We were defending ourselves. Like this time, you attacked us. The Americans attacked us. We are defending ourselves. And you're talking about Hezbollah and Hamas. Okay, 47 years ago, Islamic Republic was born. What happened to Israel and its neighbors before that? Ever since the occupation of Palestine, they've been attacking others, killing others, making nuclear bombs. Who has given them the right to have nuclear bombs in the Middle East? Why don't you ever try to denuclearize the Israelis? No, it's ridiculous. You're talking about Strait of Hormuz. You don't know. Strait of Hormuz has two channels. The main channel that's taken by everyone goes through the Iranian waters. That's Iran's water. And it's our water. And we can shut it off as soon as we want. And we will do that. You know, this kind of thinking, this kind of ideological thinking by Americans that they think that they can do whatever they want to do to anyone. This is the problem. And they're going to pay the price. They thought that if they assassinate another country's leader so easily, kidnap another one in Venezuela, and there won't be a price to pay. There is a price to pay. No American can be safe in this part of the world from now on. It's not just Iran. We're talking about Pakistan. We're talking about parts of India. We're talking about Iraq, Lebanon. And we are talking about Yemen. We are talking about many others across the Persian Gulf.
As a matter of fact, let me just stop you there for a moment, Professor Mustafa. We've got pictures coming in right now of these scenes that you're describing. Let me take you through a couple of the scenes around the world right now. These are mostly Shias and others who are protesting the U.S.'s attack on Iran. Have we got those pictures, Gene? If we could put those up. Okay, this is Tehran. This is what has been going on in Tehran within the last 24 hours. This is Yemen. This is Sana'a, Yemen. These are protests against the United States and Israel because of the attack on Iran. This is Beirut, Lebanon. You're looking at the pictures now coming in from Beirut, Lebanon. Same scenes. Again, mostly Shia. This is Baghdad, where the United States has bases, obviously, and the people are against those. This is in India, where there is also a huge protest. Let's take you to Karachi, Pakistan. Several people dead there because of the protests. And even in our own country, Washington, D.C., much smaller, but protests against the war as well. Vienna, Austria, a protest against the war taking place as well. As you look at this, you do get a sense that there is there's some kind of pushback that is taking place. What is your response to that, Mike?
Okay, first of all, I'd like to also see photos of those protests in support. I'd like to see date stamps on each of those clips that you showed me, but I'd like to see also the many in support around the world. Now, Professor made my point. He said no American that is individual can be safe in that part of the world. No one in our side, in our country, said no Iranian can be safe in America. I got plenty of Iranian friends in Houston, Texas here. All of them are safe. You know, he's making it about individuals. No American can be safe. That's a threat against individuals. That is the difference between our two governments. We are dealing with military installations and policy. He's making war on individuals. That is all we need to hear.
Professor, you want to respond to that?
Yeah, he said in the former part, he said,
you said individuals.
Iranians have been saying death to America. Okay, I'm coming for you. He said, Iranians are saying death to America. Thank you. We say death to America. You take action. You kill Iranians. This is no joke. It's not just Iranians. Go check people across the Middle East. They all say, they have long been saying death to America because they have seen your crimes in Libya, in Sudan, Somalia, in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Vietnam, everywhere you've been to. You have left a failed state. You've been killing people. Now, I said, and I insist on that, no American will be safe in this region from now on. It's not me or my country. It's the Muslim community. This is not what I said. This is what was warned by top religious leader Ayatollah Sistani in Iraq. If you know him, he issued a paper last time there was a war, and he warned that if anything happens to the Iranian supreme leader, no one can stop the Muslims all across the region from killing those responsible. And those responsible are Americans.
But I think what he means is no. But hold on, Professor. Hold on a minute. Do you want to kill me? I'm an American. I was just in your country.
No, of course not.
Well,
Rick. You know, not you, neither you nor anyone else who might come and visit Iran. By that, I mean the U.S. Army, the U.S. contractors, the U.S. logistical backup, like in Dubai, like in Abu Dhabi, that we used to talk about it. And also, there are many other, the spying networks that they have. Also, there won't be any American company left alone in this region. Let's be honest with each other. This is war. We are talking about war. And war has some features and specifications. There are rules to war. Now, Americans are playing with no rules. They are bombing. Just as I'm talking to you, just 100 meters above my house was bombed. Another one was dropped in about 150 yards. Another one on 200 yards. All around my house is being bombed. My family, they are afraid. but we are going to resist. That's the problem for you to understand. We are going to stand here. We are going to take revenge. And this is for sure. And this is just the beginning. Donald Trump thought that if he assassinated the Iranian supreme leader, everything is going to be finished in about a few hours or days. No, this is going to be a long, long war ahead. And Iranians are just preparing to level up attacks on U.S. air bases as well as Israel since tonight. So
do you get a sense? Let me ask you. Let me stop you and ask you a question, because this is what the president says he wants. This is what Mr. Rubio, Mr. Pompeo, and others have said they want. They're thinking that there is enough pressure in your country against your government. And by the way, there's plenty of people in your country, as you and I talked about, who are angry at the government and not happy with the economy, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not asking you if everybody in the country is happy. What I'm asking you is, can this lead to enough people in your country wanting to change their government, wanting to remove Paraskian and others like him? Yes?
Rick, that failed. That was the scheme. That was the scheme by the U.S. and Israelis, and that has already failed. Because if you just come and visit Iran nowadays, you can see that there are many who had economic and cultural and political grievances. Now they are out in the streets after the assassination of the Iranian supreme leader. They go every night, they go to the streets and they shout in support of the Islamic Republic and in support of resistance against this foreign aggression. Everyone, those who supported the Islamic Republic and those who had grievances, they have now, I mean, this kind of this.
So you're saying it's consolidated. The attack has consolidated.
Yeah, it's consolidated the public, and you can see the bombs are dropped every minute around them. Just take a look at the video footages that are coming out.
Yeah.
If you can, you will see that bombs are dropped. They look at the bomb site and they move ahead, and all together in thousands, and they go on shouting support for Islamic Republic.
By the way, I'm going to stop you. I'm going to stop you for a minute. I'm going to stop you for a minute because I'm going to ask. He just, Counselor Wynne, Mike just asked a minute ago, how do we know that those pictures that we're showing are true? I checked some of them. I checked the one in India. I checked the one in Pakistan. I checked the one in Baghdad. They're obviously true because I just checked with news sources on those. Now, as far as the pictures we showed a little while ago in Baghdad, can you confirm that there are people on the streets of Baghdad protesting? Are those pictures true that we just showed a little while ago? Professor?
Asking me?
Yes. Yeah, we just showed masses of people. Like, it looks like tens of thousands of people on the streets.
Yes. As far as I know, there was a large crowd in Najaf and in one or two more cities last night and the night or 2 nights ago, actually. Tonight, I have not checked again to see what's going on in Iraq, but because they are bombing and I have lots of things to do, my work and also doing these interviews, and we are busy with the public that go out after after the sunset. They go out in thousands all across Tehran and in different cities across the country. They are out to show that they will not let the terrorists attack Iran, because the scheme is way wider than this.
How much does that concern you?
The scheme that they had.
Mike, how much does that concern you that you and I talked about this earlier, pardon me, that sometimes in an effort to try and stop something, we actually increase it. And we might be making the problem worse in places like Iran with people who maybe didn't like the government, now are backing the government just because what the hell, it's their government and they don't want to see it being attacked by somebody else. How big a concern is that, you think?
It depends on what you call the it is. And the it was a quagmire in Iraq and in Vietnam. And as I said earlier on this program, The target here is and should be limited, which is to destroy the capacity of Iran to obtain a nuclear weapon because of the rhetoric that we have to take at face value. As far as other consequences, as I said, there's likely, and I've seen photographs on the exact opposite side of people celebrating what the United States has decided to do.
Professor, are there people celebrating? Are there? Let's stop and ask. Are there people? I saw. He's right. I saw videos too of people celebrating. By the way, in Iran.
You could find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, 10 people that might do so. They have been brainwashed by some opposition TVs. But when we're talking about people, when we say people, at least we should talk about 1 million people, 100,000 people, something when we say people. So you're talking about some individuals. We are not sure if they are more than a handful or not. We don't know the numbers, but you are ignoring the number of the people that are out in the streets all across the country, exactly like 2 months ago when they were rioting in Tehran and in Iran. You were seeing people maybe in tens of thousands, but you ignored the millions that took out in the streets on to put an end to this mutiny and to this rioting.
Let me ask.
Go
ahead.
Part of it is because of the Western media hegemony. Part of it is because of the Western media hegemony. Like, just tell me how many pictures and how many videos have you seen from the U.S. targets that have been devastated by Iran? Do they give you any real footage of what has happened to the U.S. bases in Bahrain, in Kuwait, in the UAE, and in Israel especially? Do they give you? No. It's a censorship. Part of it is
actually, hold on. That's not fair. Before you came on, I was having a conversation with Mike, and he said no. He said, I see it. In fact, I thought the United States would be able to do whatever it wanted to, and Iran would not even be able to fire off many rockets. He's admitted, and he knows that the rockets that Iran is firing into these are hitting their targets, as a matter of fact. The question that I have...
Not thoroughly. Tell me how many impact sites have you seen in Israel last night? Since last night, tell me how many impact sites, how many targets
we have shown the video of the attacks near Jerusalem, and we've shown parts of Tel Aviv that look devastated, and we've had it here on the air. I mean,
that's it, and nothing beyond that.
Your point is
true. Only 2 targets. Only 2 targets. We fired successfully, and they were not intercepted. I'm talking about those missiles that hit the target successfully in 15 different locations. 15 different locations. Each location has been bombed by 2, 3, 5 missiles and more. But you don't know, because we fired like 100 missiles at them. Yeah, they went to intense, but you just know about 2 targets.
Are you
not about the rest?
I take your point. I take your point, and I appreciate your correction. Before we go, and we're down to just a few minutes, and I want to ask you both the question. Let me ask you a personal question. Are you scared? Are you worried? You're sitting in your apartment knowing that the building next door was just blown up. How are you doing?
No. Remember the last time we saw each other in Tehran, we met each other?
Yeah.
You asked me, I told you, we don't care about how strong they threaten us. We don't care really about that. I've seen the Iran-Iraq war. I've seen the last war. We have all experienced war for so many years. We've been experiencing sanctions and coup d'etat efforts and many like assassination of presidents, of parliament members, of judiciary chiefs. They have been assassinating 23. They have assassinated actually 23,000 Iranians. We are used to it.
Yeah,
we don't care about it.
And we should add,
we should add
using chemical weapons. By the way, which is a part of the ugly part of the story.
Yeah.
Final question to you, Counselor Wynne. Mike, I really respect you for coming on, but I have to ask, wouldn't there have been a better way to do this without having to use warfare? Why not continue the negotiations that seem to be going very well? At times, both sides said, we're making progress. Why stop that?
Yeah, that has been our program for far, far too long. You know, we talk about different sizes of crowds. Since when has Iran been a democracy? It hasn't. If you took that seriously, you would have had serious elections. And you haven't. Iran is a vast, vast area. I pray that however this turns out, that we preserve, and it's your responsibility, sir, to preserve the cultural artifacts of this country and the history of the Persian people dating back 5,000 years. I pray that that is one of the things you're trying to do. America is a reluctant empire. Let's face it, it's a reluctant empire. It was all that was left after World War II. I wish we'd been able to find a different way. We haven't. And I pray for our leaders that they are more exact in their targeting, and this ends soon.
Professor, I can give you 15 seconds if you want to put a final point on this.
Yeah, he's right. Look at the United States democracy. At the end of the day, the best thing it has given out has been Donald Trump, a pedophile, a narcissist, a crazy guy who has imposed tariffs and withdrew him. I mean, he has failed to bring the policy to any kind of fruitful result. And he has opened war on different nations. He kidnaps leaders. He assassinates leaders. And he has made the world insecure. And this is the product of the U.S. democracy.
And unfortunately, we're out of time. But I want to thank both of you gentlemen for coming on with opposing views and having what I think has been a respectable discussion about a very difficult situation. And I agree with both of you that we should do everything possible to pray that this thing ends as soon as possible and that somehow we have some kind of peace and stop the warfare. Counselor Wynne, thank you, sir, for taking time to share your opinions and your thoughts with us. And Professor Mustafa, I hope you can stay safe. You're a good man, and you've always been very honest. And I know it was difficult for you to take time while bombs are falling around you to come on the air and have this conversation with us. And I apologize for the audio glitch and the interruptions that were sometimes caused by this situation. Hopefully, we'll be talking again on better terms.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you both, and God bless. Wow, as usual, you know, it's important to have these types of conversation. Beats the hell out of killing. Beats the hell out of some of the pictures that we were showing a little while ago while we were showing up some of this. I want you to know that we're going to continue this discussion. We're going to be doing this discussion effectively on several